I've referred to it as our nation becoming hypoxic. That's when your brain is not getting enough oxygen. The way I see it, you have a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere in your brain. And for us in the United States, the left hemisphere of our brain is withering and shriveling and dying. It's the only way I can explain it. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I have the perfect story for you to explain exactly this phenomenon. You have people on the quote unquote right, which includes disaffected liberals, libertarians, and conservatives, saying what's happening at the southern border is a crisis of epic proportions. Something must be done about it. We cannot just place random adult economic migrants all over our cities. We have no place for them. We already have a massive homeless problem. These are people that are citizens of this country in various cities who need our help. Videos of drug addiction and homelessness are heartbreaking. Yet instead, Democrat policies and Joe Biden's efforts mean more and more non-citizens will flood the country, and it's going to be ripping it apart. Now, the reason why I say there is hypoxia in the brain of this country is that I have a couple stories for you. A couple are people protesting that illegal immigrants are being housed in their neighborhoods. Another is people protesting anti-illegal immigration laws, just to clarify. So you've got in Florida, Ron DeSantis saying we cannot have all of these illegal immigrants coming. We will not let them stay here. And then all of these Democrats are like, rabble, rabble, rabble. Oh, we're so angry. Then you have in Chicago, people saying, how dare you try and house migrants here? In New York, the shocking story is that Mayor Eric Adams suggests y'all are going to be housing these people in your apartments and your homes. But don't worry, they'll give you a little bit extra cash if you do. This is insanity. And this country can't survive if this is what's going to happen. Now, to be honest, this should not be a black pill moment for all of you. In fact, I'm fairly optimistic. These kinds of things are a wake-up call to the average person. And while we are seeing people in Florida protest Ron DeSantis, you are seeing people in other big blue cities where they're being inundated with illegal immigrants. You're seeing them push back. Now, how can we have our cake and eat it too? Look, in the culture war right, which I always try to stress includes traditional liberals, because the left in this country, the culture war right is traditional liberals. The culture war left is a cult of madness. People are waking up to these problems and they're saying, okay, that we have to do something about this. We cannot just let untold tens of thousands or millions into this country. But the cult, they don't seem to know or care, and they keep protesting it. But sooner or later, regular people will start to reject it. Because guess what? When an illegal immigrant is brought to your house and they say this person is going to either sleep in your house or on your lawn, now they might be saying, whoa, hold on there a minute. Uh-oh. The things you voted for are coming back to roost. Take a look at this story. What I think may be one of the most shocking stories we have ever seen as it pertains to illegal immigration. New York City Mayor Eric Adams suggests locals could eventually house migrants in their own homes for extra cash. Now, to be fair, they're not saying by mandate. They're saying they'll incentivize it. They'll give you money. Where does the money come from? From you. Don't you get it? Each and every one of you in New York City, in Chicago, in LA, name your city, name your blue Democrat-run city. You will pay taxes. Those taxes will then be kicked back to you when they put migrants in your house. In other words, they will be quartering people in your home free of charge. Welcome to the new era. I hope you're ready. New York City Mayor Eric Adams made an interesting suggestion on additional ways for the city to help out the influx of migrants coming to the city. I got an idea. Deport them. I like how the media like say migrants. These are illegal immigrants. You know what? I'm sorry. Yeah, no person is illegal. The left made a really good point when they said this. They said, you can't call them illegal immigrants because no person is illegal. I say, you are correct, good sir. They're criminal immigrants. They're criminals. Criminal immigrants. They're breaking the law, illegally entering the country. So they're criminal immigrants. And that is not meant to be insulting or disrespectful. It's meant to be fact-based. I don't want to call someone illegal It doesn't really make sense. I really do think illegal immigrant doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. I just describing an immigrant as illegal. The action was illegal. A person who commits illegal actions is a criminal. So I think factually, to get to the root of this, it's criminal immigrant is the way to describe these individuals. The discussion took place on Monday during an address at City Hall. Adams announced that houses of worship had stepped up around the city. He then goes on to say, we're going to pitch in, give them some cash. Says the 2-year partnership with New York Disaster Interfaith Services will allow up to 50 houses of worship or faith to offer overnight shelter for up to 19 single adult men at each location. I do think, to be completely honest, a lot of this is about destroying religion. Using these churches to accommodate these economic migrants will jam up the actual utility of these churches, community building and bringing Christians together. They go to mention, I think where does he say it? They have spare rooms. Look at this. It is my vision to take the next step, go to the faith-based locales, and then move to private residence. Holy crap. There are residents who are suffering right now because of the economic challenges. They have spare rooms. They have locales. And if we find a way to get over the 30-day rule and other rules that government has in place, we can take that 4.2 billion, 4.3 maybe now that we potentially have to spend, and we can put it back in the pockets of everyday New Yorkers. They destroy the economy. They invite more migrants to come in who will also contribute to the destruction of the economy. And then they'll say, are you hurting? Are you hurting? Oh, it's really bad. Hey, we'll give you back some of your tax money if you give this people your home. Welcome to the modern era, my friends. Here's Chicago. I love this. Chicago resident shares fury over city's $51 million migrant aid package. Just a mess. There are a couple viral videos of people in Chicago saying, you're not going to house these people in my neighborhood, but I'll certainly vote for you again. Oh, I love the people of Chicago. If there was ever a city that was the definition of insanity, it is Chicago. For 100 years, they have voted in Democrats over and over again, marching in lockstep like psychopaths. Like genuinely deranged individuals every time. And it gets worse. It's absolutely remarkable to me that growing up in a place like Chicago, everyone's complaining. Things are getting so much bad. There's crime. I remember where I lived, there was a guy running around shooting at people, but that's not even a story. Not even a story. There are mass shootings in Chicago like every single weekend. So what do? They say, I know, I'll vote Democrat this time, which has done absolutely nothing. But it's okay. Now you're going to have all these migrants in your houses. Cry all you want. I got nothing for you. Nothing. So here we go. Governor Ron DeSantis signs strongest anti-illegal immigration legislation in the country to combat Biden's border crisis. Okay. All right. So as we know, in Florida, Ron DeSantis is doing stuff. He's been doing a lot of great stuff. He's got a lot of great policies. Maybe he'll become the president. I don't think so. But I think his policies are absolutely fantastic. You see, in Florida, they have it bad with illegal immigration. You got a heavy Spanish-speaking population down there, so a lot of people who come from Venezuela or Cuba or other countries want to seek refuge there. They come on boats. Not easy. But, I will admit, too, a lot of these anti-communist, anti-socialist migrants who are fleeing these countries, I think we want to find ways to welcome them in. Now, as for the southern border, a lot of these people are just straight-up economic migrants coming here for jobs. We do want to find a way to properly allow migration, of course. And I think we could even uptick legal immigration. But this illegal stuff, no, can't have it. No. Because you need to be able to place people effectively and say, where are you going? We can't just shove everybody in the same spot. That's not what's happening, though. So in Florida, Ron DeSantis says, okay, you know what? None of this. They said today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed Senate Bill 1718 to combat the dangerous effects of illegal immigration caused by the federal government's reckless border policies. This legislation makes using E-Verify mandatory for any employer with 25 or more employees, imposes enforceable penalties for those employing illegal aliens, and enhances penalties for human smuggling. Additionally, this bill prohibits local governments from issuing ID cards to illegal aliens, invalidates ID cards issued to illegal aliens in other states, and requires hospitals to collect and submit data on the cost of providing health care to illegal aliens. Bravo, Governor DeSantis. Bravo. And the Republican legislature in Florida. Well, here we go. I love it. Thomas Kennedy tweets, Over 6,000 people showed up in Immokalee Immokalee, is that how you pronounce it? To protest DeSantis' anti-immigrant law, and thousands more attended rallies across Florida. More events are being planned for the next few weeks. Oh, amazing. And when did he post this? He posted this on the 2nd. He has another tweet from the 1st. Thousands of people marching in Immokalee against Florida's anti-immigrant law. Governor DeSantis, you messed up. The immigrant community is energized and mobilized against you. You are going to lose. All right. So let's sit back and ask ourselves the obvious question. In a place like New York and in Chicago, where they did nothing, people are outraged. They're saying, we can't accommodate these people. What are we supposed to do? And he says, don't worry. We'll use your money to cover the bills. They're angry. In Florida, where Ron DeSantis says, okay, let's preempt this problem and stop it from happening. They say, how dare you? Ain't nothing you can do. These people are insane. Seriously. Now, I feel like Democrats understand this principle very well. And so they literally just say or do anything because what's the point of trying to actually convince someone whose brain doesn't work? How can you have and it's fair point. It may be two different groups of people. It may be more conservative leaning people in Chicago and New York who are angry, and it can be more liberal leaning in Florida people who are in Florida who are angry. But there is no accommodating the masses in this regard. There is no way to actually have sound policy if no matter what you do, the urban liberal votes against it, no matter what. So here we are. Now, again, they're not all the exact same people. But you see the problem here. Ron DeSantis is correct. If he did not do this, he would have protests all the same, just like every other city. Granted, he's Florida altogether. But there are a lot of cities in Florida who would be doing the same thing. They'd say, we got a ton of homeless people that are coming in. What do we do? And Ron can be like, don't look at me. I don't know. People are going to protest and they're going to get mad. But he didn't do that. He said, nope, you got to leave. And what did he do? He sent him to Martha's Vineyard. That was fantastic. And for that, I love this story. California officials explore kidnapping charges over 16 migrants flown to Sacramento. Governor Gavin Newsom made no reference to California being a sanctuary state while announcing the investigation. Oh boy. The migrants traveled to the U.S. from Venezuela and Colombia. Documents they were carrying indicated their private flight may have been arranged by the state of Florida, which is leading authorities to consider legal action against the Florida officials who may be responsible. Don't you love it? We're investigating the circumstances by which these individuals were brought to California. California Attorney General Rob Bonta said in a statement, we are also evaluating potential criminal or civil action against those who transported or arranged for the transport of these vulnerable migrants. These people are evil. They're evil. There's nothing more that I can say. Okay? This is what evil looks like. They are a sanctuary state. They encourage these people to come. If you then say, okay, and facilitate it, they will threaten you with criminal charges for doing what they said is legal, acceptable, and good for their state. Why charge someone with a crime for helping migrants? If migrants going to California are going to have a better life, if California is a sanctuary state, if the state provides resources to these illegal immigrants who are crossing the southern border, it is a good place for them to be, is it not? So if you were to then send them there, you'd be helping them. Why would the government of California want to threaten you with criminal charges? You see, they're playing dirty games. They say the 16 migrants were initially transported by bus from El Paso to New Mexico, where they boarded the flight to Sacramento. Upon arrival, they were dropped off the doorstep of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sacramento, the LA Times reported. When someone at the diocese opened the door, 2 men said they would return, but drove off, leaving the group of migrants on the doorstep. Over the past few years, there has been fierce debate over the transportation of migrants from border states, where local officials have neither the financial nor human capital to handle the massive influx of asylum seekers. Come on, Adrian. This is Timcast.com over here. We don't call these people asylum seekers. We just call them illegal immigrants. Okay, I'm sorry. Criminal immigrants is probably better. If they're legitimately asylum seekers, then fine, so be it. But I don't believe that to be the case. And I believe it is fair to say that unless we have evidence they're actively seeking asylum, I will not give them the benefit of the doubt. The overwhelming majority of these people, when interviewed, just say they want money. Yo, dude, I'm not here to give you money. Excuse me. There was that really funny story where I think it was LA Times actually interviewed one of the migrants in the caravan heading towards the U.S. And they said, "Why are you coming to the U.S.? Why won't you? You know, Mexico offered you asylum and shelter. Why don't you take it?" And one person said, "I miss my PlayStation." That's it. Are they fleeing violence? No, they'd stay in Mexico if that was the case. Does Mexico have violence? Sure. So are they fleeing violence? No, they want PlayStation. My favorite was the person who said, "I miss Buffalo Wild Wings." Dude, I miss Buffalo Wild Wings too. Everybody agrees. Everybody. Buffalo Wild Wings is the greatest. Man, it's just so good. Just those crispy wings. Can't go wrong. I'm only half kidding, by the way. I'm not really intending to do a promotion for Buffalo Wild Wings, but come on. How great is Buffalo Wild Wings? So I feel for these migrants who are marching thousands of miles to the United States saying, "I just want those sweet, delicious Buffalo Wild Wings." The only problem? Mexico has Buffalo Wild Wings too. And I know because I've been there. In Mexico, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. It's delicious. And it was, I can't remember where I was. I don't know, Mexico City. Mexico City is amazing and beautiful. And it's remarkable to me that there are people in the United States, these liberals who are like, "We got to let these migrants come to the U.S. even though Mexico's offered them asylum because it's so dangerous." And I'm like, bro, have you been to Mexico? Everybody watches these movies and Mexico is always sepia toned. So they just assume, and it's funny too, because Canada often is like blue toned. It's very weird. But people just assume that Mexico's like a big desert. And it's like you're driving around the desert. It's like, dude, Mexico City's in the mountains. It is beautiful. It is elevated. It is a massive city with amazing food and amazing people and beautiful skyscrapers. In fact, you know what? I should go. I kind of want to go on vacation there. It's fantastic. And they got Buffalo Wild Wings. Why won't these migrants just stay there? Because it's not about any of that. It's about economics. It's about the money. It's about how in the United States, in the U.S., you make more money. That's really all it is. So I get it, man. The American dream is palpable. You can see it. But what is this? No, we can't sustain this. And the people of New York and Chicago completely understand exactly why you can't. But don't worry. In New York City, not only are you going to get influxed with illegal immigrants who will live in your house, the ones that are on drugs will go to the local vending machines for drug use. That's right. This is what you can get from these cities. So don't come at me and blame Ron DeSantis when this is what your cities do. Your tax dollars hard at work. New York City unveils $11,000 safe drug use vending machine in Brooklyn that gives out crack pipes, Narcan, and fentanyl test strips for free. And the next one will also have syringes. Oh, Lord have mercy. There we go. Look at this. Yesterday, proudly unveiled their latest offering to residents, a free, safe drug use vending machine dishing out crack pipes, the overdose reversing drug Narcan, and fentanyl test strips for free. Absolutely remarkable. Yo, this stuff breaks my heart. I think back to the fictitious days of American history. I say fictitious because there was always some conflict, chaos, and strife this country was beset by. But, man, you look back in time and you see these pictures of, like, happy families with white picket fences and all that stuff, and you're like, I just wish it really was like that. You know, the truth is, though, we were at the steakhouse, the casino, and they have these big pictures of celebrities from, you know, the 1920s or whatever, 1930s. And I was like, you realize all those people were like virulent racists, right? Like, I'm not trying to drag them and be mean, but like, yeah, they were super racist. Everybody was back then, like literally. So it's fun to look back and be like, oh, look at the good old days when you could have, it's like, dude, actually until like the late 50s, you couldn't cohabitate with people of a different race. So for all of you who have friends who are like Asian, Mexican, black or whatever, it's like that wasn't possible back then. But it was still nice to envision that you could have a house, that it was cheap to buy, that you could have a picket fence in a yard, work one job, and support your family. Those were the days, huh? Except for all the bad social stuff that we had to do away with. But now look what we're dealing with. And there's not a correlation between this. The issue is not immigration. The issue is not racism. The issue is socialism, far left ideology, and nobody wants to do hard work, and nobody wants to ask hard questions. So this is what you get. The easy way out. What are we supposed to do? We have cultural decay, and all they do is put Band-Aids over the wound. And then when the Band-Aid begins to fester, they slap a bandage on top of it. When that begins to fester, they wrap another bandage on top. They never rip it off, clean the wound, because that would imply hardship. Instead, they make it worse. Do you believe that giving out free syringes is going to improve anything? It's not. It's not. I get the idea. They're cleaner. It will reduce disease. No, it's going to increase drug use and increase disease. You see, these people are going to reuse these syringes. That's the issue. This idea is like, if we give out free syringes, people will be using clean syringes and they won't get diseases. It's like, no, you'll increase the likelihood that people use the syringes and then reuse syringes. And now there are more syringes on the street for them to reuse. So no. Just unfortunately, this is not the path. But hey, to the people of these cities who are crying and whinging and complaining, that's what you get. Like, what do you expect? You reap what you've sown. You voted for it. Now you're crying about it. And in Florida, they protest against it. There's just no real answer, is there? And I think that's the true test of any leader, to understand that no matter what you do, you will face protest. Good luck. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.